Hey guys, so we've been looking at some properties of quadratic from the graph. But now we're actually going to look at creating the graph ourselves. And in order to do this, we're going to use our graphing calculator. So what I would do right now is open up your graphing calculator on your computer. If you want to pause the video to make sure you have it all set up, that would be great. But the TI Inspire calculator, make sure you have that open. Give you a minute. Right. So, if we look at example 4, when you're given a function and you want to graph it and find the information out about it, really what you want to do is graph it on your calculator. So what you're going to do is you are going to go from the home page, right? So you should look here. If you need to get to the home screen, press on again. It has a little house next to it. You are going to go to New Document. You never want to save anything, okay? And we want to add graphs. You always want to add a graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this function here. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 4x minus 6. So all I'm doing is typing that function in and then pressing enter. And we get a graph like this. If you notice, my graph, if I follow this down here, my graph dips below. So what I want to do is I want to be able to see the whole graph. So I'm going to go to Menu, and where it says Window/Zoom, I'm going to zoom out. Okay? Center, just keep your center at the origin, and then you just click once, and then hit Escape so that you're no longer zooming. Okay? Now I can see that whole parabola shape. So if I look at question A says label the maximum/minimum in M, and then write the coordinates. So what you want to do, I kind of wrote the steps here for you to follow. Menu, I'm going to go to Menu. I'm going to go to Option 6, and then I'm going to either click on 2 or 3 if it's a minimum or a maximum, right? If it's a low point or a high point. This one, right, is my vertex is a low point, so it's a minimum. So Menu, Analyze Graph, right, 6. Since this is a minimum, I'm going to go to 2. Okay. Then all you're going to do is you're going to move this over, and you can use the scroll pad up on top, or you can, if you're on your computer, you can just move it left or right. You're going to start by going to the left of the vertex, so you need somewhere to the left. It doesn't matter how far left you could go. I could be all the way over here, or I could be right here. I just need to be over to the left, and then I need to be to the right of the minimum. And it gives me that point. So my point is 1, negative 8. And then I would simply graph that point on my coordinate plane. Right, so since my minimum is 1, negative 8, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go right 1, down 8. So my point would be right here, right? That's right 1, down 8. Okay? So that's how we find our minimum or our maximum. In order to find our x-intercepts, we go back to our calculator, and it's just a different menu option. It's Menu, 6, and then 1, right? X-intercepts are the same as zeros, okay? So that's what we're going to be finding. If you look at our graph, though, remember, x-intercepts are where your graph crosses the x-axis, right? So I have 1 here and 1 here. So I actually have to find 2, and we have to find them separately. So Menu 6, 1, and then it's the same thing. I need to go to the left of it, and then to the right of it. That gives me my first x-intercept, right here at negative 1, 0. So I'm going to put that on my graph. I have one x-intercept at negative 1, 0. So I would mark over 1, up and down 0. That would be my first x-intercept. And I'm going to mark that with an I like it tells me to. Then I need to find my second one. So I have to do the same steps. Menu, 6, 1. Again, I have to go to the left of it and to the right of it. That will find my second one, which is 3, 0. So again, I need to mark that on my graph. So I go right 3 and don't move up or down at all. So here is that point, right? I forgot to mark my minimum with M, so let's make sure we do that. And then all I'm doing is I'm connecting these points. Make sure you connect them in a U. You should not have, right, it shouldn't be a V. There shouldn't be a corner there. It connects in a nice smooth U. Okay? And that's all there is to graphing a quadratic. Let's look at our next example. Okay? So our next example is f of x equals 3x squared minus 18x plus 24. So if I have my calculator, I'm going to go back to the home screen. I'm going to open a new document. And I'm not going to save, right? And I'm going to add a graph. And I'm going to type this in. I have 3x squared minus 18x plus 24. And then we can hit enter. So here's my function. Again, this is a function that has a minimum, right? So if I want to label maximum or minimum, this one's a minimum that has a low point. So I'm going to go to menu, 6, right? And then I can choose between 2 or 3. Like we said, this one's a minimum, so I would choose 2. Go to the left, go to the right. My minimum here is 3, negative 3. 6, 2 for the minimum, and we got 3, negative 3. So I'm going to graph that on this graph. So I'm going to go to the right 3 and down 3. Here's that point. I'm going to mark it with an M. Now I need to label my x-intercepts. Remember, x-intercepts are the same thing as zeros. If I look at this graph, again, I have 2 of them. There's 2 places where this graph crosses through the x-axis. So again, for these, it's menu 6, 1. Menu 6, 1 is for that. So I'm going to write that down. Menu 6, 1 is the buttons I hit to find my x-intercepts. Okay? So then again, once I hit those buttons, I go to the left and to the right of my intercept. To the left of it, to the right of it, and it's a little hard to read. So, especially if you're on your calculator, you could also use the touch screen. If you click, if you go over it, you get this little hand, and I can click on it, and it will grab it. Now it's looking at everything, right? Right? I can grab it, and I can move it. So it's easier to read. It's not over the other text. So it's 2, 0 for this intercept. X-intercept. So I get 2, 0. And I have to mark that on my graph. So I'm going to go right 2. Right? I'm going to put an I next to it. That's my intercept. And I accidentally drew a mark. There we go. Okay. So then I want to find my other one. I have to press the same buttons again. So menu, 6, 1. Right? And then to the left of this point and to the right of this point. And I get 4, 0 as my second intercept, x-intercept. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my other intercept. And again, the last thing I have to do is connect these with that parabola. That the shape of the quadratic is a parabola. I have to use it. So I come down, make a U shape, and go back up. Again, this near the minimum or the maximum should be nice and curved. It shouldn't be a straight line down and a straight line up. All right, last example we're going to look at. Go ahead and turn on to the next page. Our last example is, same exact thing. I want to graph negative x squared minus 10x minus 21. So again, on my calculator, I'm going to go to the home screen. I'm going to open a new document, and I'm not going to save. And I'm going to add a graph. Then I'm simply typing in negative. Make sure you hit the negative button, not the minus button. So negative x squared minus 10x minus 21. Okay. Then hit enter. So I want to find the maximum or the minimum, right? Since this graph is facing down, right, it has a maximum. It has this high point. So now I have to go menu, 6, and then I have to choose the maximum. So 3. Right? Menu, 6, 3. So then with doing that, right, menu 6, 3, I have to go to the left of the maximum, the right of the maximum, and I get this point, negative 5, 4. So I have to go left 5, up 4. So here's my point, and I'm going to label that with an M, right, because it's my maximum. Then the next thing we have to do is find our x-intercepts, right, and again, we have 2 of them. So menu, 6, 1, go to the left, go to the right, and I get my first one at negative 7, 0. So what's menu, 6, 1, and my first one was at negative 7, 0. So I'm going to graph that, going left 7, and it doesn't go up or down, right? That's what the x-intercept is, where it's on that line. And I'm going to mark that with an I. So there's the I. And then I just have to find my other one. So again, menu, 6, 1, to the left, to the right, and I get negative 3, 0 as my second intercept. And again, I go left 3 because it's negative, and I mark that with an I. All right, and then the last thing I have to do is draw my parabola. Okay, so I'll come up, make a nice U shape, go down, and that's all there is to graphing parabolas. See you guys tomorrow.